Welcome back, everybody. I am CD3 Daddy.
And I'm C3DG Minecraft.
What on earth are you doing?
I don't know.
Okay, well, let's get back to our video. Today, we are going to be building a bone block crafter. If you are playing in DonutSMP and you have a surplus of skeleton spawners and you're tired of building all of the farms that just constantly get griefed, we're going to go ahead and build a bone block crafter because prices are up. Colin and I just sold a bunch of bone blocks at $350 a piece. Each bone block is 3 bones, so that's over $100 a bone just throwing from your skeleton spawners. Alright, the design that we are going to be using today was actually sent to me by one of our assistant admins in our Discord server, Jerry Gamer. We have modified it quite a bit, but we did want to bring a tutorial for you. I don't know who the original creator of the farm was, so if you know of the person who created this and you would like to shout him out in the comments, please do so. But for now, we are going to be building 4 modules. We're going to start off with 1 module just like we did in our kelp farm. It's going to be an 18 block long and 8 block wide build perimeter. And oh, Colin, it's nice to see that you are finally back to your normal size. When we expand, we are going to build a second module which only adds 5 blocks of space. We are going to expand lengthwise, and when we do that, we will have a total build border of 32 by 13 for 4 modules. So as you can see, the more modules you build, the more compact each module can be. And with the clock that we are doing, you can build 6 modules total in width, and you can actually go infinitely long, which we'll talk about when we get there. To start off, we are going to hop down, and from the corner of our build border, we are going to count up 3 blocks, count forward 1 block, and we're going to place 3 blocks, and this is going to be our starting point. Now, if you're just building this in an open area in your base, just know you have to have a little bit of clearance on both sides. But obviously, if you're not sticking to a border, you just place that wherever you want to start the corner of your farm. And we are going to place 1 and 2 pistons, just like that. 3 blocks up. You can build this down into the ground if you want all of your water stream to be below, but we find that most people following our tutorials are building as close to bedrock as possible, so we are just giving a little bit of a buffer, but you can build this directly to the ground. Next thing, you're going to grab some redstone blocks. We are going to build out 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. You could technically take this to 12, but the returns will be reduced ever so slightly, and you can use this space more efficiently by just leaving it at 10. The next thing we're going to do is place any block of choice, it does need to be a solid block, on top of your redstone blocks, just like that. Once you have done that, you are going to place a block every 2 on your redstone blocks. So you're going to skip the first 2, place a block, skip 2, place a block, skip 2, place a block until you have 1 block at one end and 2 blocks at the beginning. You are going to do this exact same pattern mirrored on the other side. So we are going to build up 3 blocks, place 2 pistons, and count out 10. So Colin, you grab the solid blocks, I'll do the redstone blocks, and we'll just take it all the way to the end, just like that. Same as before, we are going to place solid blocks on the redstone. We're going to have 1 after skipping 2, skip 2, place 1, skip 2, place 1. You are then going to place redstone dust on top of the blocks. We actually ran ours inside of DonutSMP and we were only getting half the rates, and as it turns out, I forgot to put the redstone dust on top, so this is an important step, don't forget it. Once you have done that, we are going to just build a wall just a couple blocks down. This is going to contain a water stream later, so this can be any block of choice, but it does need to be able to have a redstone torch on the side of it, which most blocks can. So we're going to place a redstone torch under each of those blocks. We're going to do this on both sides. And your build should look like this. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our crafters. You are going to need a ton of crafters. The first crafter is going to be placed on the second block closest to your starting piston, just like that, facing towards you. And then you're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. Now, you can always double check yourself, make sure that your crafter is one block behind the redstone dust, because next to the redstone dust, we want a crafter facing down on both sides. And then finally, we want two crafters facing towards you, leaving a 2-block gap just like this. While you are here, it's very important not to skip this step, so we do it every time we place crafters, and that is to open up the crafter and make sure your recipe is set to convert bones into bone meal. Even though it's called a bone block is comprised of 9 bone meal. So we've got to convert it down to bone meal first, and then we will convert it into bone blocks. Once you have all 6 of your crafters with the appropriate crafting recipe, we are going to place 2 final crafters facing down, just like that, and you're going to leave this default. You are not going to change the crafting recipe. What you will see is you have 2 crafters on both sides and 2 on top, which will be crafting bone meal and placing them in the bone block crafter. Once you have this pattern completed, you are going to repeat the same steps 2 more times for a total of 3 bone block crafters. And as always, be sure to set your crafting recipe. Once you have your crafting recipe set, you are going to place your 2 final crafters face down, and you should start seeing a pattern. Alright, now we have our second pair of bone block crafters, and we have confirmed that we are still in line with our redstone dust, so we are going to build 1 final bone block crafter following the same pattern and remembering to do your crafting recipes. And we are done with our crafters. While I'm down here, I'm going to go ahead and add this. I'm just going to build this wall down a little bit. Again, this is for our water stream later. Alright, once you have your crafters in place, you're going to add hoppers to the top of all of your crafters, and you will see that they are going to be staggered a little bit because we have those 2 crafters elevated. So make sure that your pattern looks like this, and we will talk about that when we get to throwing items into a water stream. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is start wiring up the redstone. We are going to place 4 solid blocks behind your pistons. It's going to be level with your pistons, and then you're going to run redstone dust across the top, just like that. You are going to grab yourself an observer, and we are going to face an observer looking up at your redstone dust. Or I guess, I never know whether to say looking up or looking down. I want the redstone output facing up, and I want the face of the observer looking down. So I guess we want it facing down, but outputting up. You know what I mean. Once you have your observer looking down, outputting up, we are going to build a 2x3 platform, and that should take you right to the edge of your build border, where you are going to grab yourself a comparator, a repeater, a copper bulb, and a button. And you should already have some redstone dust in your inventory. We are going to place a repeater directly underneath the observer on a 4-tick. You are going to have a comparator facing away from the majority of your farm. And then we are going to loop redstone dust back into the repeater, making sure you place the comparator on subtract mode. Once you have your comparator on subtract mode, add your copper bulb behind the comparator and place a button on the copper bulb. And your clock is complete. Now, when we place the repeater, you'll notice that the blocks and the solid blocks have shifted forward, which we are using to our advantage because we are now going to grab some note blocks, or actually 1 note block. We're going to place the note block on the end of the solid block, right above your last redstone. Now, the position is going to be 11 blocks from your piston. If you did not place the redstone or you did not do the clock yet and it shifted, it is going to extend 1 block past. So just keep in mind when building it. I shifted mine over to make it easier to place the note block. You're going to face an observer looking at the note block with the output facing away. And then you are going to add 2 pistons. I lost my piston. I always lose my pistons. There we go. Place 2 pistons directly under your observer. You can see we have a shifting floor pattern emerging. Colin, if you want to do the other side, just don't add the observer or note block. On the back of the pistons, we are going to place 2 blocks. The top one does need to be a solid block because we are putting redstone dust on top, and that is all you need to do. We are adding the second one to prepare for the expansion. If you are building just one module, you don't need that. And then we are going to connect the 2 sides together, so 1, 2, and run a line of blocks across the top, connecting it with redstone. Alright, let's test it out, Colin. Turn it on for me. The first time you turn it on, since the blocks were shifted over, to get them in their correct position, you will just click your note block. And you'll see I had to click it a couple times since the farm was on. Once the farm is on, when you turn it off, it'll always return back. If, however, you are experiencing chunk loading issues, we have yet to experience this, but you can always do some protection by having 2 rows comparing, but you're just using more materials. It is not necessary. Alright, your crafter is actually complete. We just need a way to add bones to your crafter, and we need a place for your bone blocks to travel. So we're going to jump down, and I'm going to place 2 glass blocks under each of the very first crafters closest to our clock, just like that. You'll see that the back 2 are crafting into the second pair of crafters, so we aren't blocking anything off when we do that. Then we're going to grab some packed ice. You don't technically need packed ice, I just like it when I'm using water streams. You can use any block here. And we're just going to run packed ice all the way to the end. We're going to grab ourselves some regular ice or water bucket. Place it at the back of your farm. And you'll see that it flows perfectly 8 blocks. And this is the exit for all of your bone blocks. Alright, let's talk about the bones going into the bone block crafter. Colin is going to go ahead and place down hoppers on top of the lower set of hoppers. You can place chests there. We're going to talk about this a little bit more later. Now, technically, you can just throw bones in on top of this top hopper line. However, each crafter only has 1 slot for bones, and even with 2 hoppers on the lower pairs of crafters, that's only 11 stacks of bones in each crafter, and this thing is fast, so it will not take long to craft all of the bones that you throw in there. So what we are going to do in this video is we are going to elevate this up by adding double chests on top of our hoppers. And then we are going to add hoppers on top of those double chests. Alright, we're going to add a couple bones in here, turn it on so you can see it running, and then we'll talk about how to expand it. Alright, we added some bones into our chests, so Colin, if you wouldn't mind flipping the farm on for me. And as you can see, this thing is extremely fast. The crafters are being double pulsed by the redstone dust, so every single second, each crafter that is producing bone blocks is producing 2 bone blocks. But if this isn't fast enough for you, let's talk about expanding it. Alright, now the first thing we're going to do is expand it side by side. Stop! Are you looking for your very own Minecraft or Vein server? Then look no further. Today's video is sponsored by HostBite, a hosting company providing outstanding performance without breaking your wallet. Click the link in the description below to find out more. Head over to see all the various Minecraft plans showcasing different servers from around the world. And remember, HostBite is not just limited to Minecraft. Go explore all the other various games HostBite has to offer. Alright, we are going to talk about expanding this to the side. Now, you only need an additional 5 blocks, and you may be thinking to yourself, how is that possible? Well, we are going to share this center row with the redstone dust on top, and so I'm going to actually start my build off of the side of it by placing my 10 redstone blocks, just like that. And as you can see, the redstone dust is powering the top crafter, so when we get to the crafting, the second crafter in our second module is also going to be powered by that same redstone dust. Once you have your redstone placed down, you can run a line of solid blocks on top, and then we can expand the redstone dust line behind our first module into our second, so that is 4 wide, starting at our block. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Grab your pistons and place them in front, just like we did on the first one. We'll still need to build up a wall, but I like building off of what's already there. Run this out 10 blocks. Now the center is powered from the shared blocks, but we do need to add solid blocks on the outside of your module. So we are going to count 2 blocks, place a solid block, 2 blocks, place a solid block, and finally the last solid block. And we have to add our redstone dust on top, just like that. Just like before, we are going to build this down 2 blocks. So go ahead and do that. And Colin, if you could grab that other side, I'm going to place redstone torches underneath the solid blocks. Alright, it's starting to take shape. Just like before, we're going to follow the same pattern for our crafters. You're going to skip the back block, place 2 crafters facing forward, 2 crafters facing down, making sure that we are in line with our redstone dust, and then 2 crafters facing towards you. This is the exact same pattern as the first module, so make sure to set your crafting recipes. Alright, we went ahead and added all of our crafters. It's exactly the same as the first module, and the reason, I didn't mention this in the first module, the reason we skip the first redstone block is as the piston shifts it forward, it will provide a block update which will pulse the crafter, and then when it pushes back it will pulse it again. If we started at the front, the only pulse that the crafter will receive is on the return, so this way it gets double pulsed. And the same thing with the end, except we start at the end and the redstone will shift forward and then back. So that is also getting double stacked, and that's also why we don't do a full 12 blocks, because the last one will never pulse more than once per cycle. So this just makes sure we give our maximum speed for each crafter. Alright, we are going to direct our attention to the top of the farm. The same way we started the first farm, or started the expansion from the first farm, we are going to run the solid blocks all the way to the edge of our second module, and then we are going to add pistons in front of our solid blocks. Hop down, add pistons in front of your redstone blocks, just like that, and you are done. We are going to add redstone dust all the way to the end. We aren't going to worry about an observer and a note block because we are going to function off of the same clock that we already have. To do that, we're going to just carry this redstone dust line. So Colin, if you want to turn it on, we can just make sure everything's working. And just like that, our second module is ready to produce bone meal, or bone blocks, excuse me. We are also using a similar design to craft bone meal. So it is, oh, you already put bones in there, Colin. That's all right. All right, just like the first module, we are going to add our chests and hoppers on top, and I'm going to go ahead and work on the water stream starting at the back of my farm. Placing the packed ice on the ground. Again, not required. I just like the way it looks, and it does help here at the end, but not required. Add 2 buckets of water on the corner of your water stream. And if you want to turn it on, Colin, I saw that you already had bones in there, so let's just test it out. All right, go ahead and turn it off. We don't have anywhere to store these yet. All right, that is module 1 and 2 complete. We are now 18 by 13 is the build border around 2 modules. We are going to shift our attention lengthwise, which will expand it 32 by 13. So we will be continuing our farm 14 blocks. So that is 4 blocks less than a standalone module. And the way we're going to do that is by starting right off of the 2 pistons on the back of the farm. We're going to place 2 pistons facing towards you. Again, these aren't required other than just placing pistons down. And this is going to be the starting point of your farm. So we are going to build it in the exact same direction as we started off. 10 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we're just going to go ahead and build both modules at the same time to make it a little easier. Alright, our redstone blocks that will shift and pulse the crafters have been placed. Let's go ahead and add the side blocks for the top crafters. Again, that's skipping 2 blocks all the way down to the end. Placing redstone dust on top of those blocks. When you get to the center, you are going to do the same thing, but remember these are shared blocks. So 1, 2, place a block, 1, 2, place a block, 1, 2, place a block. Redstone dust on top. And then we can build our walls down so we can add our redstone torches. And this also prepares us for our water stream. Alright, your 3rd and 4th module should look something like this if you're following along. We're going to go ahead and add those redstone torches. Oops, not there. There, underneath each of the blocks. In the middle, it doesn't matter which side you add them on, as long as they are powering the block above it. Technically, you could even place it like that if you wanted. But it doesn't matter as long as they are powering the redstone dust on top. And we're going to do this on all 9 blocks. The next thing we are going to do is add our return circuit, which is a note block and an observer. Now you can turn the farm on. That's what I'm going to do. And turn it off. If you already have, if you're expanding your module and you don't want to craft bones, you can just use temporary blocks, but y'all should know by now I'm not a fan of that. All right. The pistons have pushed our row forward, so I'm going to place a note block on the far right corner, or left corner, depending on which way you're looking at it. Place an observer looking in, and then I'm going to place 2 pistons underneath, just like that. Remembering to add my solid block with redstone dust on top. Since I'm not going to extend it any further, I'm not going to worry about placing a block here. The quasi-connectivity is powering this lower piston, and the top piston is being powered directly. So when the top piston provides a block update to the bottom piston, that's what's causing both of them to pulse. That lower block was simply to place the next set of pistons. And then I'm going to run this line of solid blocks all the way to the end. And once I have done that, I'm going to place my pistons on each of my modules. Just like that, and connect it with redstone dust. Alright, Colin, give that note block a click, and we'll see if this shifts back. Perfect. Alright, now that is the structure of your second set of modules going lengthwise. Now we are going to add the crafters. Again, I'll just briefly remind you, you're going to skip the first block, facing the crafters towards you, turn around, place 2 crafters facing the first 2 facing down, add your crafting recipe, and then your bone block crafters, which will stay in the default position. And we're going to do this for both of our modules. Alright, that is the most tedious part of the build, placing all of the crafters down and setting the crafting recipe. As you can see, the rest of this build is extremely simple. Now, I'm going to show you how we do this in our base. There is no right or wrong way to do this, as I say many times, but I am going to run all of my bone blocks in the same direction. You can reverse and send them both towards the center, but I like to send it towards the end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place down 2 glass blocks on the back side, and that's just to keep the bone blocks from going the wrong way. I'm going to extend this packed ice all the way to the end of my second set of modules. I'm going to build up my retaining wall. Alright, we have added the packed ice all the way to the end of our second module. Now I'm going to place pressure plates underneath my glass blocks. You can use fence gates or signs. I just want to change it up because we always use the same thing. And then inside of the where the 2 modules meet, I'm going to place 2 pressure plates right at the end of the water stream. I'm going to do this on both of them, or Colin's going to do it over there. I'm going to add 2 buckets of water. And then I'm going to, let me just break this out. I'm going to add 2 buckets of water in the same spot we did on the first one. The reason I want this glass here is I don't want bone blocks to craft and bounce to the side and land where there is no water flowing. That is the only reason I put glass here. This isn't necessarily required, but we have had a couple blocks get stuck, so I guess it is required if you want it to be lossless. And then the rest of it is the same as before. So Colin, did you put bones in there?
Sir.
Alrighty, if you could turn it on, we'll see what it looks like when 4 of them are crafted. And you can see the output is just insane. These are crafting almost instantaneously on each pulse, and you can see that all 4 modules are working perfectly. Alright, go ahead and turn it off. Alright, let's talk water stream for our bones. The first thing we're going to do is, I'm going to use packed ice. I just think it's a better visual. You can use solid blocks here. I'm going to connect my 2 rows of hoppers from module 1 to module 4. And Colin is going to do the same with our second to third module. That way we can throw from one center location and the bones will fill both sides. I'm also going to expand this all the way back above my redstone. The way we are going to do this water stream is the way we did it inside of DonutSMP. There is no right or wrong way to do that. I've said this many times, be creative, try your own thing. But there are a couple techniques that we use that we think will be helpful to show. On the back side, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to extend this out, 2 blocks, and I'm just going to connect the back side just like this. All right, now that we have our starting platform, we have connected both sets of modules and the back side. We're going to start at the corner that is closest to our switch, and we're going to place down a double chest on the outside of our farm. The next thing I'm going to do is just place a bunch of solid blocks, or that could be any block of choice, all the way around the water stream. Alright, now I'm not quite sure where the water is going to end yet, so I'm going to preemptively just place 4. I know I'll need 4. Actually, I'm just going to make it even. I'm going to do 6. And then I'll run this all the way to the end, and let's just square it all up. How about that? Okay. Alright, now that I have my outer perimeter, where that will contain my water, I'm going to do the same thing on the inside. So Colin, if you could grab that side, I'll do this side, and we're just going to build up a perimeter all the way. And then connect it just like that. Alright, now because I am going to make this my throwing platform, I'm going to break out these back 4 blocks and then connect the outside with packed ice. Move my inner block there. So, Colin, if you wouldn't mind placing actually I'll place the bucket of water. What we're going to do now is use iron bars on the outside of the farm, even with our chest. So the plan is to throw bones towards the back. It'll float towards our chest. It'll center align because of the small gap in the hitbox, and it'll skate across both hoppers on both sides. And then we will just zigzag the bar and start a new water stream. And we're going to do this all the way down. Alright, one more right here on this hopper. Let's see what this water is going to do. Alright. Now, whenever you have a turn on the outside, your items are center aligned. So what we have a couple options. We are actually going to place another iron bar just right here on this packed ice. And then I'm going to do an outside turn, so I'm going to block off the inside. That way all of our items will hit that turn and they will skate across the back side. And this actually works out perfect, Colin. We're going to place a single chest here. If you could place a fence gate, open it, and then let me waterlog this bad boy. Alright, and we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. Zigzagging our iron bars, placing a new source water block, and we're going to do this all the way to the end. Alright, now to address this mess, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to block off the inside as well, and then we're going to place a fence gate right in front of the double chest, 1 block away, and open it. Now all the items, when they hit this back wall, they will continue on to the double chest. And that leaves us with 2 options for our throwing platform. Option number 1, build up a back wall. Whenever you throw, let me grab some bones. Whenever you throw bones at the back wall, they will automatically align on that double chest and skate between the 2 hoppers. The other thing that you can do is you can add chests on top of it and throw directly at the chest, which will also center align it. Both work just fine. I like to throw up against a solid wall and let the aligning happen in my water stream, but I'll leave that entirely up to you. And that wraps up another video. I am CD3 Daddy.
I'm C3DG Minecraft.
What are you doing? Forget it. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. If you like this video, please leave a like. If you have not already done so, hit that subscribe button so you know when we post our next video. If you know the designer of the original bone crafter that we modeled this off of, please shout him out in the comments. And if you need help with any of your farms, or if you have ideas what to build on our next farm, leave a comment and join our Discord. There will be a link in the description.